Hello year 8 and welcome to this science lesson. Today the topic is where do we come from, and this is the first lesson. So let's start with the drawing question for today, that is how similar is a frog to a human, and those are the four keywords. These are the four keywords that we are going to be more familiar by the end of this lesson. So the keywords are vertebrates, invertebrate, and we are going to learn the difference between these two keywords, and then animal kingdom and classification. So let's start with the word classification. I understand to understand what does it mean. So the classification system is a system that allows us to put all living things in 5 main groups. So all living things are classified in with these 5 main groups. They are called kingdoms. In fact, we have the kingdoms of plants, we have the kingdom of animals, one for fungi, one from bacteria, and one from prototists. And most of the living things belongs to the animal kingdom and plant kingdom. So about classification system, what you need to remember is that all living organisms are classified into 5 main groups called kingdoms. Most of the living organism belongs to the plants and animal kingdoms, and during this lesson we are going to focalize about animal kingdoms. So let's have a look to the first task for today. So this is a true false task, so I put 3 different statements. What you need to do is to read them and understand which one is false and which one is right. So pause the video, give you a couple of minutes, and we are going to check your answers in a minute. Great. Let's have a look to your answer. Let's have a look to the mark scheme. So about the first one, all living things are classified into groups called kingdoms. This first one is a true. We just say that. Then we have there are 4 main groups called kingdoms. This is a false because the main groups are 5. Most living things belongs to the animals kingdom and the plants kingdom, and this is true. And as I said, today we are going to focalize on animals kingdoms. So the first thing that we can say about animal kingdoms is that we can classify them in this kingdom in 2 main groups, and the 2 groups are vertebrates, and they are called this way because they have a backbone, and then we have invertebrates that they are called in this way because they do not have a backbone. Okay, so the animal kingdoms could be classified in 2 main groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. So now we are going to use an X-ray machine to see if some animals are vertebrates or invertebrates. When you need to remember that if it is a vertebrate, it means that it has a backbone. So let's have a look at the first animal. So it is a cat. Now we are going to look through an X-ray to see if it has or not the backbone. So this is the result. So as you can see, the cat has a backbone, so it belongs to the group of vertebrates. And let's have a look to the fish now. So look through the X-ray, and again, as you can see, it has a long backbone. So it is still, this is a vertebrate as well. Then we have the next one is a snail. So let's have a look through an X-ray machine for this animal, and as you can see, it doesn't have any backbone, so it means that this belongs to the invertebrate group. Then we have these dinosaurs. So looking at the X-ray, again, you can see here a backbone, so it means that it belongs to vertebrate group. And now the jellyfish, through the X-ray, we cannot see any backbone, so it means that it is an invertebrate. Then we have an eagle, and looking through the X-ray, again, you can see this is the backbone, so it means that it is a vertebrate. And then the whale, X-ray again, and no backbone, so it means that it is an invertebrate. And then the frog, looking through the X-ray machine, again, you can see backbone here, so it means that it belongs to the group of vertebrates. And last one is a person. What do you think of person? Do we have a backbone or not? Yes, we have. So we have this long backbone here, so we belong to the group of vertebrates. So we can put, now we said that animal kingdoms can be subdivided in two main groups called vertebrate and invertebrate. It is according to the fact that they can have or not a backbone. Now we can say that the vertebrates group could be subdivided in 5 other groups. In fact, we have mammals, like monkey, and then we have fish, and then we have birds, then we have reptiles, and last one is amphibian. So now we are going to observe a specific characteristic for each one of these groups. So we have animal kingdoms subdivided in 2 groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. Now we are going to focalize on the vertebrates groups that can be subdivided in other 5 groups. So we have mammals, they have, of course, backbone because they are vertebrates. They have lungs to breathe. They can make milk to feed their babies, and they give birth to live babies. And those are some examples of mammals. Okay, then we have fish. They still have backbones. They have gills instead of lungs to breathe. Then you have birds, and they have feathers on the skin, and they lay eggs. Then we have reptiles, and they still have, of course, backbone, and they live on land. They have lungs again to breathe, and they lay eggs as birds. And the last one, amphibian, of course, they still have backbones, they have slimming wet skin, and what is peculiar about this group is they can live water and on land, and they have lungs again to breathe. Okay, so to put these animals into groups, we can use keys. In particular, we can use to make it simple. We can use branching keys that they let you make a choice at each question. So let's make it more clear. So this is a vertebrate chart. And of course, if it is a vertebrate chart, it's because they have backbones. So in this way, we put animals into group in a specific order, and using the branching keys, you need to reply to specific questions to put them in the right order. So, for example, if the first question is, does it give birth to live young? The answer is yes, so it is a mammal. If the answer is no, you need to keep doing, you need to keep asking questions, you need to keep replying to the questions. So if the question is, does it have wings? If the answer is yes, of course, it's a bird. If the answer is not, you keep doing. Then, does it have gills? If the answer is yes, as we observed a minute ago, gills is about fish, so it means that that animal is a fish. And if it doesn't have gills, you need to keep doing. And then, does it have scales? If the answer is yes, it's a reptile, because we said that if they have a scaly skin. And if the answer is not, they are amphibians. So using this chart, you can put all animals in order, in groups, in the right order, answering to this question, making a decision at each question. Okay, so this is another task for you. So I put examples of some animals, and then I put underneath the keywords. What you need to do is to match the number of the animal with the keywords underneath. So of course you don't have to make any draw or something like that. You just need to put the number and match the number with a letter linked with the keyword. So pause the video a couple of minutes, and then we check the answer. Okay, let's have a look to the mark scheme so we can see how many of them did you get right. So for the first one, number 1 is a bird, number 2 is an amphibian because it's a frog, number 3 is a mammal, is a lion. Then you have number 4 that is a reptile, and the last one, number 5, is a fish. Okay, so this is a slide to make a kind of recap of what we just said. We said that we have 5 main kingdoms. Today we're going to focus on the animal kingdom. We said that the animal kingdom can be subdivided in 2 main groups, and they are vertebrates and invertebrates. And then we focalized on vertebrates group. The and they can be subdivided into other 5 groups. So we have mammals, fish, reptiles, amphibian, and birds. So now let's have a look to invertebrate groups, and they can be, of course, they also can be subdivided in other groups. And so we have cnidarians, flatworms, true worms, mollusks, and echinoderms and arthropods. So we are going to learn a little bit more about these groups belongs to the big group of invertebrates. Okay, so as we observe for vertebrates, in invertebrates we can still use branching keys to put them into groups in the right order, okay? And again, we need to reply to some questions to put them in the right position, in the right order. And remember that invertebrates means that they don't have any backbones. So of course the questions are different now. So the first one that you need to reply is if they have legs or not. So if they have legs, they are in the big group called arthropods. And if they have 3 pair of legs, they are called insects. If they have more than 3 pairs of legs and they don't have any antennae, they are arachnids like spider. But if they have more than 3 pairs of legs with antennae, they are crustaceans. Then, if they have no legs but they have antennae or tentacles with a soft body, they are cnidarians. If they have hard shell, they are mollusks. If they have no legs, no antennae or tentacles with a long body, they are worms, spiny covering echinoderms. Okay, so this is the chart with the branching keys for an invertebrate. And again, there's another task for you. I put 5 examples of invertebrates, animals, and I put the keywords at the bottom. So please match each number with a specific letter linked with a specific word, keywords, post video, and we check the answer in a minute. Great, so let's have a look to the mark scheme. So the first one is a cnidarian. Then we have number 2 is arthropods, because it has a legs, it has more than 6 legs. Then we have flatworm. Then we have number 4 is an echinoderm. And number 5 is a mollusk because it doesn't have any legs and it has a shell. So now, again, let's make a big recap. So animal kingdom can be subdivided in 2 big groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. The difference between these 2 groups is that vertebrate, it has a backbone, invertebrate, it doesn't. So then we have that each group can be subdivided in other groups. So in vertebrates, we have 5 groups: mammals, fish, reptiles, amphibians, and birds. In vertebrates, instead, we have cnidarians, flatworms, true worms, mollusks, echinoderms, and arthropods. Okay, this is a big recap of the lesson about today. And now, again, the question again. So we used to, this is a little task for you. We used to do this in a room, but this time you don't have to point any letter to the wall. You just need to pick one of them. So pause the video, take a couple of minutes to read each statement and choose which one is false. Okay, so going through these 4 options, the one that is false is C, because it says reptiles are invertebrate, and this is false because reptiles are vertebrate because they have a backbone. So the last thing that I wanted to say today, and it is actually the answer to the driving question, is that what we observed so far, the classification of animals, has been done in 1700s by Carl Linnaeus, that he made this classification according to characteristic and structure. But nowadays the classification is made, okay, still by characteristic, but it has been improved with DNA analysis. So now the new classification is made with characteristic and DNA analysis. And what this DNA analysis added to our knowledge is that animals in very different categories still share certain DNA in common. For example, frogs and humans, they still share, although they belong to very different categories as animals, they are still sharing 65% of their DNA sequence. Okay, so this is replying to the driving question, or how different are frog from humans. So actually we are still sharing 65% of our DNA with the frog. So now, as a normal science lesson is your turn, so it's a writing phase. So I put 4 different questions. So for one for describe, explain, use, and combine level. So, and I also put for the first two a starter sentence and a little help for the table. So just to remind, if that for the table you complete just the first column, is still explain level. If you complete the second column, you will reach user level. Okay, so now pause the video, take your time to do the writing task, and then we are going to look at the mark scheme and check your answer. Great, now it's time to mark your work. Please get ready with a green pen, or if you don't have any green pen, please at least use a different color pen. Remember that marking is not just giving you a tick, but you need to add details if you miss something during the writing task. So let's look at the first one. So describe the meaning of vertebrates and invertebrates. So this is kind of easy. So vertebrates does have a backbone, invertebrate does not have backbone. Explain the meaning of animal kingdom. So animal kingdom is one of the 5 groups in which living organisms are classified. Now let's have a look at the table. So for a tiger, it is a vertebrate and it is a group of mammalian. Then you have jellyfish, that is invertebrate and is the group of cnidarian. Then you have a scorpion, that is invertebrate and is an arthropod. Then you have frog, that is a vertebrate and is an amphibian. Then snail is invertebrate and a mollusk. And then shark is a vertebrate and is a fish. For the last one, I put in the next slide. So compare the differences in the classification of animals by features and by DNA. So as we said, the classification has been done the first time by Carl Linnaeus, and it is according to the characteristic and structure. But then the classification has been improved using the DNA analysis, and thanks to DNA analysis, we can see that animals in very different categories still share certain DNA in common. And if you can remember, you can add also that the frogs and humans still sharing 65% of the DNA sequence. So now is the end of the lesson, so you need to write down what you have achieved, and remember that today I've achieved the first gap is for describe, explain, use, and combine, and then for the second one you can use this sentence to help yourself in writing why did you achieve what you have achieved during the lesson. And for the very last thing that I want to remember you at the end of this lesson is that don't forget to do the 10 question quiz on Show My Homework, and try as much as you can, and the quiz results will be emailed to your parents. So well done for today. Thank you, and see you next lesson.